Hey YouTube, it's Kat. I am back with another video today, and today I am going to be talking about something that got me so angry the other day in one of my groups. I was told that I should grieve the loss of my daughter as if she were dead. So let's get into it right away, because I'm sure there are probably some people that are wondering what happened. So just as a little start, let me give you a little intro. My name is Kat Tavald. I am a 47-year-old birth mother who is in reunion with her 31-year-old daughter for the past 3 years now. So what had happened is somebody in one of my groups, I'm in a whole bunch of different birth mother groups that are really helpful and everything to, talk about things, when birthdays come up, you can rebound with questions and stuff. Like, it's just a very helpful support group. But sometimes there are some things that come up that I don't agree with, that other people don't agree with me on and everything, and this was one of them. So, what happened was somebody had made a post looking for books or some type of way to help deal with unresolved grief. Basically something that was self-help that she could work on her own. And I recommended the book The Body Keeps Score, because that's a really good book, and that helped me a little bit, along with a few other books that I have linked down below, and I'll link that one too, because that's a good one to help with working through some of this grief. But I had recommended that, and then there was another lady that had recommended some type of healing, and I engaged her, because I'm kind of metaphysical. I don't mind, trying new different things. Meditation has helped me a lot. Listening to binaural beats, I think that's how you say it. That really helped me a lot. And those are basically just sounds and tones and things like that you listen to with headphones on. But so she mentioned something like that. So I was engaged in the post, and I was interested to see what other people would say. And somebody had come on and mentioned a woman. I'm not going to mention any names, but she mentioned a woman and started to say what this woman says. And I'm going to read to you the interactions, because what this woman said, that this woman says, that this woman basically preaches to birth mothers, is what I felt was very wrong and should not be taught to birth mothers. So, let me find it here. So, she mentions to the woman that I was engaged with about the meditative self-healing type of stuff. Have you met so-and-so? And she said she's very good with this. She has 28 years of experience and has guests come to speak to help you sort out things with people. In quotes, placing a baby, she says, is no different than losing a loved one. You lose your role as a mother and you have to grieve this pain. That I agree with. The statement before, I do not. You walk the steps of grief. Of course, any grief, you walk the steps of grief. You need to release the love as a mother and replace it with the love you can give to the memory. End quote. Is something that she has said before. I'm sorry, but my daughter is not a memory. She's not dead. She's not gone. She is here. I speak to her every day. And even if you want to go further and say you need to release the love as a mother and replace it with the love you can give to the memory. First of all, I was never her mother. I never mothered her. I was with her for 3 days. That is the type of counseling you would give to somebody who has a child that has passed. You know, you were a mother to that child, and for whatever reason that child passed away, and you have to grieve that memory. I agree with that completely. But in the respect of a birth mother who gave her child up at 3 days old, I was never my child's mom. I was never her mother in that respect of me raising her. You know, we were together for 3 days in the hospital, and that is it. I'm certainly not going to treat her as a memory. She's alive and well. I talk to her every single day. That's insanity to me. So let me go on. So I said, yikes. Placing a baby is very different than losing a loved one. There is closure with death. And there is. And there's not with adoption, because you are mourning somebody who's living. It's kind of like a bad breakup that you don't want to happen either. You have to grieve that loss of that person because it didn't work out, and you're grieving the living. I grieved not knowing my daughter, but I've had pets die, and I've had family die, and I grieve the loss of them as a person. It's so very different. And if you are not a birth mother, then you couldn't possibly understand what I mean. I mean, you may be able to say, yes, you understand, but you don't understand what it feels like to leave. Well, you could. I mean, if you could grieve the loss of the living. But anyways, very, very different. Grieving the loss of somebody who has passed away and grieving the loss of somebody who is living is completely different. Let me go on. So then I had another lady chime in, and she says, your point is a good one to me. But there's a lot of similarity in that society doesn't realize how hard it is to surrender a baby to adoption and what a loss it represents. I agree. I agree with that. However, my response was, I agree that society doesn't realize the difference, but someone who is acting as a therapist, as this woman was, or some type of therapist or whatever this woman so-and-so title is, should not be making statements such as, you need to release the love as a mother and replace it with the love you can give to the memory. While that is very true for the death of one's child, it is completely inappropriate for a mother who has given her child up for adoption. My daughter is still alive and well. I am in reunion. We have our whole lives ahead of us. She is not dead and gone. She is not a memory. They are two very different losses, and grief work should be treated differently as well, and it should. I mean, I couldn't imagine, treating my daughter as if she were dead and then coming to reunion. And I mean, that's just a mind freak. I mean, the amount of counseling I would have needed then, would have been 10 times as much as I needed now. I mean, she didn't die. She was out there in the world. I'm not going to grieve that. I mean, it boggled my mind. And it boggles my mind that somebody teaches this. It gets better. The girl that I was engaging with, she writes to me and says, she's a birth mother LOL. She can say anything that she truly feels. So this woman who is preaching to grieve the loss of your child as if it were dead is a birth mother. How are you doing that? I couldn't imagine, because I've had people die in my life. Most people have, especially by the time they reach my age of 47. You've had somebody die in your life. Grandma, grandpa, pets, friends of the family, somewhere along the way. I mean, my earliest memory of death was I was probably, I don't know, 7 years old, and my dog Pokey died. So I remember that, and I remember, okay, she's gone. I'm never going to see her again. But I never, not for 1 minute, thought that I would never see my daughter again. No. I knew that somewhere along the way we would meet. I just had it in my bones and in my soul. I just knew. But I would never grieve her like she was dead. That's just mortifying to me. So, let's see what else she has to say. Then she says to me, because I had said, they're very different losses. And she says, not true. Your child you place is no longer yours. Like mine is not mine. It is gone. My daughter is not an it. Okay? She is not gone. You can tell that this really bothers me. And for somebody to think like this about their child, I mean, I couldn't imagine. I mean, all right, take the thought that maybe you're in an open adoption. How do you treat that child? Do you say, no, we should not have a relationship because you are not my child anymore. I have given you away. And you should no longer think of me in any sort of manner. But we'll still see each other. Or if you don't have a connection and they come to find you, I mean, are you going to deny them? And you say, nope, I gave you away. Our ties are cut. No more. You don't look at me like, are you serious? And then that's so sad. My daughter's not an it. So I responded, because at this point I was getting a little angry. I said, no, my daughter is and always will be my daughter. She isn't gone. She is alive and well, and we speak every day. But I digress, and I will agree to disagree with your and so-and-so's way of thinking. I have never, ever, ever denied my daughter. I have never kept her a secret. I have never said, no, I don't have a daughter. She is and always will be my daughter. She is and always will be her mother and father's daughter too, but that doesn't make her any less of mine. I gave birth to her. She's got my DNA. And now in reunion especially, we speak every day, so we have a relationship growing and we have a bond going and everything. No, she's my daughter. She's always gonna be my daughter. That's scary. I feel so bad for this woman's child. Oh, okay, let me go on. Because she has one little rebuttal left. And after this, I really didn't say anything to her. She says to me, I guess I don't understand calling a child raised by another woman mine. Why? Why? So, adoptive parents who didn't give birth to children are okay with calling children theirs, but us birth parents shouldn't be calling our children ours? That's nonsense. So this whole interaction disturbed me. It disturbed me a lot, and I really wanted to come on and share it all with you, because things like this is what happens in adoption land. And, you know, so many things start to run through my head, not only with the scenario with me and my daughter and how we are, but with her and her child, and how that's going to play out for her, and that poor adoptee who is going to have to deal with that. And I only hope that this woman does not deny that child or say anything so screwed up to hurt that child like that, because that just, it just does not sit right with me. And you can disagree with me as well, but you know, this is how I feel. So that was the interaction. So, like I said, I feel bad for the adoptee. And really what I really thought about was, how would my daughter feel if I ever said something like that to her? You know, like, nope, no relationship, nope, I grieved you as if you were dead. So now you are gone, I have gotten it out of my system, and now you are somebody else's child, and ties are cut, goodbye. Could never. I could never. You know, and like I said, she's not dead. So that right there makes it a completely different grieving process. Yes, you grieve the loss. And I have a whole series of videos planned out over the grieving, because the grieving, I mean, it doesn't, number one, it doesn't end, but it's a process too. I mean, first it was happy grieving, you know, me being happy but grieving at the same time, and that just messes with your head. And then there's grieving the loss of raising her, and all the time, and what could have been, and all the what ifs, and all of that. And then there's, you know, grieving and being angry, and getting angry at the system, and how things played out, and the costs, and when you start to learn about adoption as it actually is, society doesn't know. Society has no idea. And then also learning about the past, learning about the BSE, which is the baby scoop era, you know, and getting angry with that, and how things haven't really changed since then, and what adoption started out as, and what it was initially, you know, used for back in the 30s, and just, I mean, international adoption. And so there's a lot of grieving and all these different facets that goes along with it. So this is one part of it, is that you grieve the loss of your child as yours, but certainly not as if they're dead. You grieve the loss of raising them. You grieve the loss of, you know, not knowing them, you know, but not as if they're dead. You know, I recently had a cat pass away, and my cats are my babies. They are my fur babies. I love my animals. I love all animals. I will cry when I see animals get hurt. I don't step on ants. I don't, you know, I'll shoo a spider out the window. I catch things released. You know, I'm very, you know, attached to animals. And one of my cats passed away. And the feeling of that loss, you know, I knew he was gone. I knew I was never going to see him again. And I saw him get killed by a dog too. So, you know, you replay that and everything. Even if they're sick, you know, like when my dog died and everything, that grieving is different because I went through the grieving, the loss of my daughter. I went of raising my daughter. You know, I went through when I came home from the hospital. I went through that loss of not bringing her home. But it was completely different than losing my cat a couple months ago. So, anyways, YouTube, I just wanted to bring this video out. I wanted to share it with you because there are lots of different facets and everything to the grief process, and to show you that everybody thinks differently, and I mean, some ways aren't quite the right way, at least not to me. So, with that said, YouTube, I think this is going to be the last video before Thanksgiving. So, I hope you all have a very happy Thanksgiving. Give me a subscribe if you haven't already. Give me a thumbs up with that like button, and tune in next time. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.